Hi, my name's Frank and I'm at the Dundee Cooking Academy, and today we're going to do a couple of cuts of beef from the rump. The rump that I've brought today is from a farm assured Scotch beef, and it is from a farmer, William Mathers and Son in Angus. So I'm going to do a couple of cuts. I'm not just going to do a rump steak, but I'm also going to do the rump cap as well, which is another cut that is not widely used, but they want to use it more in the Cooking Academy to let their guests see all the different cuts that are available in beef. And we would like to work very closely with the Dundee Cooking Academy with their clients to just explore new cuts of beef, find out what the different parts of the animal does and just how good it tastes, especially if it's been well bred and well reared in Scotland and it's farm assured through the Scotch Beef Club, which is the main goal of that we look for as a butcher. So that's what we're going to do today. We're going to take this rump, we're going to make two cuts. We're going to do the heart of the rump and we're also going to do the rump cap, which is also known as picanha steaks, which you might be seeing on menus in restaurants that are Argentinian based theme and Spanish themed. So it's just a different cut, and I'd just like to show you exactly where it comes from. And that's, once we do the butchery of it, we'll do the trimming, and then we'll also go and do some cooking with Lewis, who is the head chef at the Dundee Cooking Academy. So that's our plan for today. So if we could just we'll just start getting it cut and getting it trimmed. Okay, so this is the rump that we're going to bone and trim today at the Dundee Cooking Academy. So here you can see this is the heart of the rump, this muscle here, and then this is the rump cap where we get the picanhas from. Just before I start boning out this rump is approximately 60 days old that we've kept in our Himalayan maturation room, and that's what's given it this coloration, this darkness, and that's exactly what we want to see in our rumps and our sirloins and our ribs, is this really rich dark colour, so that the beef's had time to mature, and it must be matured on the bone. If you take it out and mature it in vacuum pack, it taints, it gets just a flavour that is not natural. So all our beef is kept in a maturation room for a minimum of 3 weeks. So that gives us a 6-week maturation. So this is the hip bone, and this comes from this part of the animal, which is here, which is just between the top of your leg and the bottom of your back. So this part here is the top of your leg, and this side is the bottom of your back, leading into your sirloins. And in here sits the fillet. So this is this is the more tender side of the rump, and this part of the rump gets more work, so it's the muscles are just slightly tighter. So what I'm going to do, I'm just going to take my knife and I'm going to just come down the side here, and I'm just going to remove it from the bone. Okay. So I'm just cutting using the tip of the knife all the time, because if I run in too deep, there's a chance that I can cut the muscles, and then that would stop the steaks from slicing and presenting on the plate. Now, with this being in the maturation room, it's harder to take off the bone than what it would be for a fresh piece of beef. It's just that it's got a bit tighter. Okay, as you can see, it's just peeling away now. It's coming off the bone. So there's a membrane here that we just take off, and we use this. It's just a trimming that we remove prior to slicing. So we just want to remove any silver skin, any fat, any connective tissue that is on the joint. And we remove this large piece of fat as well. Okay, so what I'm going to do now is I'm going to remove the rump cap from the rump heart. As you can see, it just pulls away using this membrane. You don't need a knife or anything to do this, it just pulls apart. Okay, and that's your two different cuts. Traditionally, the rump would be sliced, and that when the steak was cooked and put on a plate, it would tend to separate. You'd have these two muscles, and it wasn't as presentable on the plate people didn't like it as much, so that we separate the muscle now. So what I'm going to do, I'm going to just trim up the heart of the rump first, and then I'll come back to the picanha steaks after. So this is the rump heart, so I'm just about to trim off the excess fat that's on the top. Now some people would leave this fat on, but we tend to take it all off to make it a more appealing steak. And just removing any surface fat and connective tissue that might be on it. Now we just turn it over to the bottom, and we can see there just through the dry aging process that it's just dried out a little bit, so we'll just cut that bit off as well, and that connective tissue. Okay, so that is a fully trimmed rump heart, or heart of the rump, and this could ideally is best for slicing, barbecuing, making into cubes for kebabs. The flavour is amazing on this, and also it's very, very tender. You can also use it as a roast, for a pot roast, or even just an oven roast, and it will slice really nice. It's got a nice size to it, it's not too big, and it's got a great flavour. But what I'll do now, I'll just take a couple of slices. So here we have, I'll just take the first slice off, and because of the dry aging process, the first slice we can't use. I'll just cut this off, and then we'll put that aside. And as you can see, we've got a lovely, deep, rich, sort of browny colour to this beef. And when we take the first slice off it, you'll see that when we open it up, it's getting darker and richer and deeper in colour. And that's just because it's had time to mature. And because it's far matured and it's Scotch beef, we're guaranteeing that it's tender, it's had a proper animal husbandry, and it's just the best eating experience you can get. And just by maturing it that bit longer in the Himalayan salt chill just adds to that eating experience. So that's your rump heart. So here we have the rump cap. So I'm just going to trim off the excess fat from this rump cap. And the fat itself is very dry and very firm. As you can see, when you tap it, it's nice and hard. It's not soft and rubbery like it would be if it was fresh. And that's how you can tell whether it's dry aged or if it's just a fresh piece of beef. So I'm just going to remove it from the fat. Okay, and that's all that fat removed. So now there's just some surface fat and connective tissue. You'll see the silver skin here. This is just the skin that's a membrane between the two muscles. But if you leave that on, it doesn't cook very well, and it cooks at a different rate, and it just goes a bit, it's not a good eating experience, so it has to go. And you just take the final off here, and then all this excess fat here. Now I know a lot of people will be saying that the fat is flavour, but we want to make this as appealing steak to as many members of the public as possible. So if we keep it lean, it just ticks another box. Now as you can see, at the very first slice there, it's very dark, so we'll just remove that first dark slice off, and then you get this lovely, like purpley, dark brown colour there. Now this rump cap would normally flap about and it wouldn't have a purpose. The butchers would struggle to sell this, but if it's cut and matured and trimmed to this standard, you can see that there's not a problem with cooking and presenting, this lovely piece of steak. So from this beautiful rump of Scotch beef, we've produced the heart of the rump, and also from the rump cap we've produced these well-trimmed picanha steaks that Lewis and his team at the Dundee Cooking Academy are going to be exploring in their future menus, just to give people different cuts and also allow them to produce different meals, different menus, and have a different dining experiences.
Hi there, Lewis here from the Dundee Cooking Academy. We're down at the Academy today with Frank York from York's the Butchers, our nominated supplier in Dundee. And what we're doing is we're cooking a rump steak. Frank's just been kind enough to give us a wee demonstration on butchering down the rump. And what I've got in front of me here is the picanha steak from the rump cap. Interesting thing about the Cooking Academy, when we do steak classes here, we don't go for the expensive cuts, we don't go for your fillets or even your sirloins. What we're trying to do is show people that you can cook kind of cheaper cuts of meat at just as good quality as anything else. So we've been in chats with Frank at the York's the Butchers about the steak cuts that we use at the Academy. Normally we use the flat iron steak, and we're looking to change over to the picanha, which is the cap of the rump. We're big into using cheaper cuts of meat and showing people that you can cook them to just as good quality standard as things like the fillet steak. So what I'm going to do here is do a wee dish, cook the steaks off. We've got some nice homemade chips, roasted tomatoes, mushrooms, and just advertise really good beef quality from York's of Dundee.